Watch this video, then we'll talk.
Can you waive this at all? We will absolutely love and support and care for any child in our home, but we simply can't agree to go against our Christian faith.
Lydia and Heath Marvin are ready to bring kids into their home on a moment's notice. The Woburn couple reconfigured their home to care for 8 foster children, including a baby with complex medical needs for 15 months. That's in addition to their own 3 kids. And they were ready to keep going until Massachusetts Department of Children and Families pulled their license last spring.
Now that it seems like there's no path forward.
We certainly thought we would have young children in our home. For how long, we didn't know, but we were not done having young children in our home.
The heart of the issue, the Marvins refused to sign DCF's LGBTQIA+ non-discrimination policy, which states a foster family must accept a child's assertion of their LGBTQIA+ identity, address children by their names and pronouns, and support gender-neutral practices regarding clothes and physical appearance.
We had asked, is there any sort of accommodation? Can you waive this at all? We will absolutely love and support and care for any child in our home, but we simply can't agree to go against our Christian faith in this area. And we're ultimately told, no, you must sign the form as is, or else you will be delicensed.
The Marvins are still considering their options, but 2 other Massachusetts Christian foster families filed a federal lawsuit against DCF in September, represented by the Massachusetts Family Institute and national group Alliance Defending Freedom.
So there's a speech component and also a religious liberty component to the lawsuit.
Just last week, the Trump administration sent Mass DCF a letter. It mentions the Marvins directly and says, quote, "These policies and developments are deeply troubling, clearly contrary to the purpose of child welfare programs and in direct violation of First Amendment protections." But LGBTQ+ advocates argue the non-discrimination policy is for kids. Massachusetts foster parents also receive a monthly stipend.
Like, the state has an obligation to children to make sure that they're safe and well protected. And like foster parents, they're not parents, right? Foster parents are temporary. They're supposed to be there. There's a stopgap to try to make sure children can go safely back to their families of origin.
Data collection by Mass DCF is poor, according to a report by the Massachusetts Commission on LGBTQ Youth. But the report suggests roughly 30% of Mass foster children could identify as LGBTQ, like the data collected in Los Angeles and New York. The Marvins have not cared for any kids over the age of 4 and say DCF has been flexible about placements in the past. That's why they're hoping for a conversation.
But what if you had a kid whose views about their own gender did not align with your religious beliefs? What would you guys do?
We would love and care and support any child. But if there was an issue where we knew that we would have a different position than DCF, we would just be open and talk to them about it.
I would like to expand the conversation that was just in the video that we saw about who, and this might be a little bit of a touchy subject, but that family should not be allowed to adopt kids. Should not be allowed to adopt kids. And there are a bunch of other families that also should not be allowed to adopt kids. And I'm going to speak more specifically about transracial adoptions, because in the same way that family was like, oh yeah, you know, if we happen to have a kid that was gay or was not like a cis straight child, we'd have to have some conversations with them and all that. There are people that feel that same way about having Black kids, but they will still adopt a Black child. There are a lot of families that decide to adopt children that are outside of their own experiences, or try to morph, convert, mold a child who is living a different experience to theirs, and try to mold that child, change that child to fit into the box that they want, as a form of white saviorism, as a form of, oh my goodness, I have saved this poor decrepit soul from the pits of hell, from the terrors of the life that could be. I have shaped them into the idea of a child that I had in my mind, which is the only one which is correct. Yay me, clearly I'm the world's best parent. Now, as somebody who is joyfully child-free, but also loves other people's children, the amount of trauma that I have seen from people who were adopted by people who were not ready for them, especially when that child is of a different experience than the parent or parents. That is a deep-rooted pain, trauma. That is a sense of self that they are constantly trying to get back to. There was this woman when I was in undergrad. Let's call her Sally. Sally was adopted from an East Asian country that I think has been pretty under fire actually as of lately, because there have been a lot of, also there's some people that have moved into, so if it's a little quiet, if you hear some things, just mind, there's a lot happening around me actually. Anyway, so the country that she was adopted from came under fire not too long ago because there was a lot of adopted children that were sold to the United States. And their parents were like, where's my baby, right? I don't know if she was one of those children or not. All this to say, she came from one of those countries at around that time and was adopted into a white family. Now, I met her when I was in college. She was in college. And the amount of rage that she had from being separated from her culture, rage that she really just directed at her mom. I think she was brought up in a single parent household. I think she was just adopted by a very wealthy white woman. But she was so angry at the disjointedness that she felt in herself because of the way that she was raised and because of the kind of relationship that her mother was trying to create with her, that she couldn't create with her, because at the end of the day, Sally was an Asian woman, is an Asian woman. I can't be the little white child that you want me to be. In the same way that a lot of these queer kids can't be the little straight child that you want them to be. So yeah, unless you're okay with having and not just adopting a child, having a child, period. That kid is going to come to you as they come to you. They're going to come with all their whole personality, their likes, their dislikes, their whatever. They're coming to you as a complete package on its own. They're just discovering what is in that package the older that they become. If you are not ready for whatever is in that package, don't have kids. People's ableism, racism, sexism, I think I said racism already, homophobia, all of their isms and phobias will come out against their child. Also, their self-hatreds will generally come out against their child. And I personally feel like you see prime examples of that with the whole like black mom, white mom conversation when it comes to mixed race children who have one black parent, one white parent. There is an epidemic, dare I say, among most mixed kids who have a white mom because of what was just discussed. Not necessarily about the adoption side, but the self-hatred that they have, or the racism that they have not processed through, whether it's something that they were raised in, or if they were just like in a rebellious phase and they're like, I hate you, Dad, so I'm gonna go and enact some kind of racial fantasy with a black person or with a person of color, and then children are created out of this. Shouldn't be parents because it would, like, they're not ready for the kids that are going to be entering into the world and the conversations that those kids are going to have. Like, I have another friend who is who's fostering a child right now who is of a mixed experience. And even as small as she is, she's very, very small, under 5 years old. And her ideas about self and race and how that relates to other people, so much was downloaded into her before she entered my friend's care, before the age of 5. And that was put into her from her family. There's a lot of adults that have had so much put into them from their family because they did not fit the idea of a child that they expected to have. And thank goodness that this child is now in my friend's care, and my friend, who is a brilliant educator, is helping to unravel those like very tight held beliefs, even in this small child, and start to teach her other means of relating to people, of relating to self, of it's okay to look different, and that's beautiful. I'm gonna look different than you, who's gonna look different from that, and we don't need to be relating to people via racial identifiers as you have been taught before. There's other ways to relate to people. Most people should not have kids, because these are the kinds of conversations, especially if you're going to be having kids of a mixed experience, these are the kinds of conversations that people need to be having with those children. But they need to be able to have those conversations among them, within themselves, among their peers first. These are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section. Please, for the love of God, stay safe out there.